So I have this large project that I'm working on. And to do the project, I need to make a lot of small foam pieces. These foam pieces are going to be for the lost foam casting process that I have in other videos. The parts you're currently seeing are 1/8 inch round, and those are pretty hard to hold down, right? After a bit of research, I realized the solution is pretty simple. Rather than build a vacuum table, which wouldn't fit my situation, or use two-sided carpet tape, which gums up your end mills. I tried that, by the way. I've seen a few other techniques, but it seems a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. But let's get down to business. Your first order of operation is going to make sure that your table is absolutely clean. Any dust or debris left behind is going to stop the tape from sticking down. Now I know what you're saying, we're going to use one-sided tape, but watch, it gets easier. Now the CNC machine that I built has a sacrificial table. I put screws into the table, I cut into the table, and it really works for my needs because when I'm done, I can just throw this board out and throw a new one on. And in some cases, I'll just flip it over and use the other side if it gets too bad. Now, this is the size of foam that I'm going to be using, and I'll have to cut it to size because you've seen a couple clamps that are going to get in the way. Now, before you see the secret weapon and go clicking ahead, just stay tuned because there's probably a couple tips in here you're probably going to need. We're going to cover the entire surface with tape. And I would highly recommend to grab wider tape than what I have, but this is what I had, and it was a Sunday, and nobody was open where I live. And actually, from experience, you don't need to cover the whole table. I'm just going to cover parts of it because I got a little bit lazy in here. But that's pretty easy to remedy as well. It's just a matter of marking where you've taped on it, and then simply run tape from either mark and then fill in the in-betweens. Now, how I've programmed everything is I'm going to leave 60 thou of material on the bottom after I've cut all the parts out. And this is because some of the parts are going to be pretty small and they might get sucked up by the vac system if it doesn't hold in an area. Although, if I was more aggressive with the next step, I'm pretty sure it would have worked just fine because I have done that with smaller pieces. Now this is all we need. This is pretty simple. We don't need a two-part process. We just spray the top and the bottom and then we stick it down. However, there are a few little tricks that you might pick up here, and I'll tell you about them next. Remember, give it a good spray while you have the ventilation on or you're wearing a mask. And then stick your two parts together. However, once you put it on, you've got to make absolutely sure that it lays down flat. And this is going to be pretty easy by putting a good amount of pressure and running your hand across it, and then sometimes tapping your hand on it and making sure that it's down. The material will sound a little bit different if it's not all the way down, and it's just a matter of pushing it down a little bit harder until it sticks and stays. Of course, before the machine starts running. Now, let's take a sneak peek at what I'm working on next. If you have any questions, please throw them down in the comments below. I'd love to answer your questions, or maybe someone else will have an answer for you. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe, because I think you might like some of the videos that are coming down the pipe. Oh, and if you stuck around this long, I should probably show you how to take them off as well if you're interested. Probably the most satisfying part of the job. Now, a couple of these, as you can see, were loose because I didn't spray them in there. Now, that's pretty solvable. When you're machining, you're not going to want to stick your fingers in there if they start coming loose. Either let them go, or already have a piece of foam or a stick or something you can stick in there so you don't cut your fingers up in the machine. Now, I've got a slight warp in the table, and that's why it cut into the table. It's a sacrificial table, so I wasn't overly worried about it. 75% of it worked quite well, and it's just a matter of peeling it off the tape. Last but not least, it's just time to grab a scraper and just peel those up ever so gently without wrecking them. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the next one.